Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. I want to thank all of you for listening. Please subscribe. Click on that like button. Our Pistons won another one, 127 to 119 over the Chicago Bulls. An impressive win with 7 players in double figures. 80 points in the paint, say that real fast, 38 assists, both seasons high. The 80 points in the paint is the most in 30 years by a Piston team. And they didn't have much at the rim protection. They had a lot of some of their bigs hurt, and Vucevic, who's their center, doesn't elevate. He's a great player. He had a triple-double today, but he's not good at protecting the rim. So we had 38 assists, which was a season high. Only 11 turnovers, so we've had really low turnover numbers the last couple games, but it was a fun game. And shout out to I had good friends from Kalkaska, Steve and Katie Scott, and they took their kids to the game today, and they had a great time. They got some hugs by Hooper and some pictures, and the coolest part for them, I think, was when they were right down close to the court, and they caught Beasley's attention, and they started doing the shimmy, and Beasley did it just for them, so that was a really cool experience for them. But anyway, it was a great win for the Pistons. We got the trade deadline coming up Thursday at 3 o'clock, so I'll be doing a podcast then, or if there's a trade, if the Pistons do a trade before Thursday, I will be coming on. And of course, a lot of exciting things. We're going to talk today about the big trade, Luka for Anthony Davis, and we'll see what happens. That there's a lot of crazy stuff that took everybody in the NBA by surprise, shock. So it shocked the Mavericks so bad that today they played their game today against the Cavs, and they gave up 91 points in the first half, and they lost 144 to 101. So I just can't. Everybody's befuddled by how that trade came about. But we're going to talk about that at the end. First, we're going to talk more about trades. We're going to talk about the game today. So let's get going. So Kate had another good game, but Duren dominated the game. Duren was amazing again. He's been, JB says he just is playing hard. 30 minutes, 9 for 11, season high 21 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, only 1 turnover and a steal. So he was fantastic. Like I said, we had good balanced attack. We really shared the ball. It was really fun to watch. So Bulls got a little bit hot at the end, started kind of catching up to us. But let's talk about the trade deadline again real quick. And I've been saying this, so many people are excited for us to make a big move. And I saw some quotes by JB again just recently that said, we're in no rush to do anything, and we're still process driven, and we're going to see what's in front of us and where our successes are and where our strengths are, and we're going to evaluate from that in the group that we have right now, and then make decisions from there. And whatever Trajan decides will be what's best for the team, and so that's what's going to happen. We're not just going to rush. Like I said, our Pistons, we're 25 and 24. And there's a bunch of teams, it's going to be a long, hard battle, to try to get that 6th seed. That's what we want, so then we don't have to play in the play-in. But there's a bunch of teams. Orlando's right in there. A lot of teams are really close together. But we're 14 and 7 since December 21st. So that's impressive. But there was a bunch of players out there on the court that have been rumored and speculated by Piston fans and by me and by everybody that we might be interested in. And Lonzo Ball, I really liked the way he played today, and he was 3 for 8 on threes, but he's 6'6" and he can pass the ball. And Ayo Dosunmu, if that's how you say his name, he had a good game, decent game, but he's a nice little guard that's quick and can handle the ball. He doesn't play point for them too much. Kobe White started out terrible. He was like 1 for 9 or 1 for 10 and ended up 6 for 17. He got hot. So they said, and then obviously Vucevic is a center, but I don't see us trading for a center. I don't think, I know a lot of people want one, Of course, if one falls in our lap, but Vucevic can't protect the rim. He does. He has shot the three better than he's ever shot in his career. Levine didn't play today because his wife, I think, had their third child today, so he was with her, which that's where he should have been. We're going to play the Bulls, but we're not going to play the Bulls again until after the trade deadline. But it's not too far after the trade deadline. We play them twice. So yeah, we play them February 12th and February 11th and February 12th. We're going to play the Bulls. So they might not have all their players. They should be tanking. They have their top pick. Their first round pick is top 10 protected. So if they finish above, they're too high, then they're going to lose their pick this year. And they don't want to do that. They need to decide that they're going to rebuild, but they've never quite done that, and so it's kind of crazy. But yeah, Vucevic was tremendous today, 8 for 10, and he made the threes and had 20 some points and a bunch of rebounds, double. Like I said, he had a triple double, so he was fantastic. So it was fun today watching. There was a stretch, one really cool, exciting stretch where Simone hits a three, they inbound the ball, Holland picks it off, does his one-man full court press, whips it over to Cade. Cade makes a three. Then soon after that, Pistons go on a fast break. Holland gets a fast break dunk, and then after that, Holland got another steal and then got another dunk. So he brought that energy in his limited minutes. He only played 15 minutes, but he sure makes things happen in those minutes. So Asar played great today, and he was 6 for 9, and it was so frustrating to watch it. So sad. He is such a great kid. He played only 22 minutes, and I want him to play 30, or at least close to 30, especially when he played as good as he did today. He had 7 rebounds in 22 minutes, and 3 assists and a steal and 12 points. But the dude, he didn't shoot any threes. He takes the ball right to the basket. He gets hammered, and no fouls, no calls, just like Cade. I mean, today Cade, shot 23 shots and had 15 assists, which was amazing. And the only free throw he shot was on a technical foul. So no fouls, and they were letting a lot go both ways, to be sure. So that's one thing, but it still is disappointing for Asar. The look on his face, he doesn't argue or yell at him, but he just is like, he just can't understand why it's happening. It's like every time, he made 6 out of 9, but I bet on at least 3 of those shots, he should have been shooting a free throw. And what if he would have missed because he got fouled? But yeah, Duren dominated the game. 30 minutes, 9 for 11, 3 for 4 on free throws, 13 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, only 1 turnover, and 21 points. So shout out to him. Yeah, Cade played 34 minutes, 10 for 23, 2 for 6 on threes, 0 for 1 from the free throw line, and he had 3 rebounds and 15 assists. He was dishing that ball, lobbing it. Malik Beasley made a joke after the game when they interviewed him and saying, how Cade's lucky, man, that he has Duren and Asar, because if he throws bad passes and they still can dunk him on the alley-oops. So anyway, Cade's masterful at that. Him and Duren have always had a special connection and share, hooking up on those lobs. Hardaway played 27 minutes, 5 for 10. Hardaway made a bunch of shots that weren't threes. He was only 1 for 4 on threes. Again, our guys that are supposed to be our three-point shooters, we brought in these veterans, and Beasley did it today. Beasley was tremendous again shooting the 3 today. Beasley's 4th in the league, 4th most threes in a single season in Piston history. I don't see any way, unless he gets injured, that he's not going to break the record for threes in a season by a Piston. So, but he's also 2nd in the NBA to Anthony Edwards in 3-point baskets made. But Tobias was 0 for 3 on threes. He doesn't shot much, and he hasn't made them. He had a 1 for 8 on threes just recently. But Hardaway was only 1 for 4, but he took the ball to the basket and he scored, and made some mid-range shots. He had 1 rebound, 0 assists for Hardaway, and 12 points. Again, Beasley played 28 minutes, 7 for 13, 5 for 11 on threes. That's a huge game, making 5 threes. 0 for 1 from free throws, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, which was really good for him. 3 steals and 19 points. So good game for him. Sasser, 14 minutes. He was 1 for 4, 0 for 2 on threes, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. Again, he's only playing 15 minutes, but I just wish that he could have some consistency, and that's why That's why a lot of us, including me, if we could have give us Lonzo Ball a physical, and the doctors could say his knees is sound, and we don't have to give up too much for him, that we would trade for him. He has an expiring contract, and so he is 6'6", and he's seems like a great guy, and I think he would fit into our culture and make our team better. So, but yeah, we're gonna find out soon. It's just around Thursday, so 5 days is that. So it's exciting because I can't fathom that we're not gonna make a move. So anyway, we'll give you my opinion on Luka and Anthony Davis. I think it was an insane trade for the Mavs. I think people in LA are thrilled, and people in Dallas are. I know I have my brother and a really good friend of mine live in Dallas and love the Mavs, and it's painful, that trade. You trade a 25, and Luka's going to turn 26 pretty soon. Anthony Davis is 31. He's going to turn 32 real soon. So 6 years difference, and you're trading a guy, and Dave AD has had a bunch of injuries throughout his career, and so the biggest thing, there's a bunch of big things, is that they didn't go around from everything, all the intel. They did not go around asking everybody in the league what their offer would be. So you got a guy 25 years old. He's been all NBA 5 years, 5 seasons, and you know how hard it is to be all NBA. And he's been all-star. He's one of the most talented players. I am not a fan of the way he plays. I will not, and I don't know if that factored into it. I talked before about how he shoots a lot, and he's amazing. He's amazing. He is just amazing at making shots. He is a great passer when he wants to be. A lot of times he passes out of desperation, but he can throw these one hand over the head passes behind him like he has eyes in the back of his head and throw them right to the guy. But he is gifted. He is one of the most gifted players to ever play NBA basketball. But they're concerned. He comes in out of shape every year. There's somebody, I heard a report that he weighs 270 pounds, and he's a big boy, but he doesn't take his diet seriously. He doesn't take his conditioning seriously, and so those were factors. He was due to get an extension, a max extension, and so it would have been 300 and some million dollars for his extension. It would have been really 345 million. Sad thing for 5 years. So the sad thing is now that he's traded, because he's not with the same team, they make it in the NBA so that players want to stay on their same team. And so, but now that he's traded, he'll make like 100 million less if he signs a max contract. So anyway, it just doesn't make sense. There's teams like the Rockets and Oklahoma City and the Spurs and few other teams that have all these draft picks and all these young assets. The Rockets could give up draft picks, and they don't even have playing time. When all their players are healthy, they have so many young players, they don't have time for everybody to play. So it's just weird. They get, there are some teams, there's some guys that have been traded for a lot more draft picks. Mikal Bridges got traded for like 4 or 5 picks, and a lot of guys got OG Anunoby got traded for a bunch of picks, and Rudy Gobert got traded for at least 4 first-round picks. So there's a lot of guys that got traded for a lot of these picks, but they didn't get a player back like as good as Anthony Davis. So Anthony Davis is really, really good, and this is the same for the Mavs. I'm not sure it shouldn't have been the decider, but the Mavs were $5.1 million over the luxury tax, and now they're way under the luxury tax, 628 million under the luxury tax. So that's a huge difference. So that makes a big difference. But Anthony Davis is not, like I said, he's been healthy the last 2 years. Has been his 2 most healthy years, like in the last 8 years. And so you can't, those big guys get hurt. He's big body, carries around a lot of weight, but he's gifted. I mean, he's a great shot blocker, and the Mavericks said that what defense wins. Their general manager said defense wins, and their general manager is really good, and he's made some phenomenal moves, especially like the last 2 or 3 years. He's just made some great moves at Nico Harrison, and he's traded for Gafford, and he got Quentin Grimes and Najee Marshall, and he got PJ Washington, and so he's made a bunch of really good moves because they're really limited. They were really strapped and really limited, and he got Kyrie, and of course Kyrie could have turned out into a nightmare, but he hasn't been. He's been really good for them, so he's been real successful. But I think everybody in the state of Texas hates him probably right now, and if they don't come out and win, he's going to be under a lot of scrutiny. So um, yeah, it's hard. It's a hard thing, and it's hard to make moves. It's hard to get you over the top, and we'll just see. The one thing that happened is Jazz, the Jazz got to be the third team, so they needed one team to take on a little bit of money. Instead of the Pistons, Utah took on Jalen Hood Shafino, and they got 2 second-round picks for just taking on a little bit of money. So, and Hood Shafino is 21 years old, and he was the 17th player picked in the draft. So he's a young player that had some potential. He's never done that well. The Lakers drafted him, and so he probably won't turn out to anything. But they didn't give up really anything, and they got 2 second-rounders. So that's what I've been saying, for the last couple of weeks. That's probably what will happen with the Pistons. There's, we could get something more. We could get, something else. But I don't, from the quotes I read that JB just said recently, that thing that I read to you, and but that's what Trajan's been saying for a long time. And I know things have changed a little bit because of the we've done so well. We've exceeded expectations. We're looking really good, but you don't want to make a decision that's going to affect you long term just to trade for a guy that's got an expiring contract to help us get through this year. So maybe we finish a little bit higher in the standings this year and get beat in the first round. They want to do things that are going to, like JB said, that we want to see what we have before us. We want to see what we have on our team. We're still in this process that we want to evaluate the group that we have and see the strengths that we have before we make any big moves. So I wouldn't even be surprised if we're not going to make a big move until next year at the trade deadline, or not this summer, but the following summer would be maybe when we make the move. Of course, you never know. I wish some team would make a dumb move, trade us somebody like Luka, that, and again, I not thrilled with everything that Luka does, but the Lakers just lucked out. The Lakers got to get Wilt Chamberlain, my buddy, good friend of mine, worships Wilt Chamberlain, and they got to trade for him. They got to trade for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They got Magic in the draft magically. They got Shaq, free agency, that he was sure he was going to sign with Orlando, and he came. Jerry West talked him into coming there. They got Paul Gasol that helped them win a couple of championships. They got LeBron. They got Anthony Davis to come there. So they've got all these superstar players to come there, and a lot of people don't like that. I've been a big Laker fan. Jerry West was one of my favorite players, and so I loved the Lakers back in the late 60s and early 70s. They were, Pistons were never on TV, and so the Lakers were always in the playoffs, and they usually went to the finals and lost to the Celtics or the Knicks, but I still really liked them and then I loved, being a big Michigan State basketball fan, I loved Magic Johnson. So all those years when Magic was with the Lakers, I was a big Laker fan. But yeah, so we got a lot of good things going. Our team played really well together. They really support each other. They really like each other. They like each other's success, and it's a fun ride. Every team is not like this. I can tell you that. You can ask, like I said, ask Beasley. He's Threesley. He said that he's played for like 5 different teams, and this is really special. So anyway, I will be on the air tomorrow night after the Hawks game, unless something comes on earlier. Again, we play Wednesday, and so I'll be on then, and then Thursday's the trade deadline. I'll be on that day, and then Friday we play. So going to be, I think, have a lot of podcasts, but I appreciate all of you that listen. Please be the reason that somebody feels heard and seen. And go Pistons!